Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Be More podcast, where we inspire you to be a little bit more of every role within the ecosystem. For today's session, we are exploring what it takes to be more DocGen, and I'm joined by Luke. So, Luke, are you okay to introduce yourself for our audience, please?
Indeed. Thank you, Tom, and thank you for having me. So my name's Luke. I've been in the ecosystem now for actually just under 2 years, so relatively short amount of time. However, I've been in the CRM world for about 15 years.
Now, thinking about your role, and for the next couple of questions, you're going to personify the role of somebody that's dealing with the document generation solution, of which there are many in the ecosystem. Before we go into the kind of specifics of that as a role, what is your current role at the moment?
So my current role, if we put it on a piece of paper, is operations director at PDF Butler. So we are an ISV in the Salesforce ecosystem. We are a great scale up now. Yeah, not a startup anymore. We're a scale up. We're about 25 people. So what does that mean to my role? So like I said, operations director, but I also manage and wear multiple hats. If I could have a hat for every different role I could do, then I'd have a wall of hats instead of a wall of pictures, there. But day to day, it's the operational running of our business, but also I'm managing our sales team. So we've got 12 sales team across the globe, and also our marketing team as well. So the role is very diverse and covers actually sort of every different aspect of the business.
So perhaps from an operations point of view, maybe you experience things from like a contractual point of view as well, in terms of perhaps, I hope you drink your own champagne type thing, but perhaps kind of use some of your own tools to maybe generate your own documents and contracts, right? Because I'm guessing operations, there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a number of different contracts. One part of my role is handling our partnerships with the SIs out there and the GSIs out there as well. So you are right. We do eat our own dog food. We do use our platform to generate all of our documents, and we generate them from Salesforce. That speeds up the process. As long as you've got a template, it all comes to the template. The template's got to be good. The Salesforce thing's got to be good.
Going to throw in a bonus question now, but I guess the role of DocGen meets the role of kind of e-signature quite often, in particular when we're talking about contracts, right?
100%. In today's world, you generate a document, and I think probably maybe 95% of the cases you generate a document, you need it to be signed. I don't think you can be a company who does DocGen and don't have an e-signature piece or have a partner you work with. I think the two are interweaved.
Okay, so now back to DocGen and thinking about somebody, and maybe we can kind of split the thing into two. Somebody that's using DocGen and maybe somebody that's implementing DocGen, because I think those are kind of two very separate paths, really. From those two different angles, what type of other people would you interact with to either use it or potentially get it set up in the first place?
I think from the user point of view, we're talking salespeople. Every salesperson probably in the world is sending out quotes and orders to get signed. That's how they get paid. That's a process. And from their point of view, they just want to click a button and send a quote, send a contract. We're then talking, legal departments as well. And then, HR departments, employee contracts, employee changes, all those sort of things are there. We often make a joke that if you've got Salesforce and you're not generating documents, you've got the world's most expensive Excel spreadsheet. It's a crazy thing not to be doing it, because it's just made purpose, just driving efficiencies. And that's what document generation does, is it drives those efficiencies. DocGen, even though it sometimes can seem super simple, is an important piece of that adoption matrix as well. And I guess answering it from the other side, in terms of implementing it, if we use the example of a salesperson, they click a button, generates a document, it sends, that sounds very easy. System does it, fantastic, great. However, implementing it, you need to focus on a number of different aspects. So normally the Salesforce admins, they need a solution that is able to create a document that they're proud to send out. And that
Yeah.
also normally involves making sure the corporate identity, the branding is all on point. You know,
Yeah.
lots of marketing teams spend lots of time, lots of money to create this brand, the visuals, the feel of the brand. But the customer should experience that from day one. The DocGen tool needs to be flexible to handle complex documents, because that's what we're talking about now. Yeah, our CEO has a joke when he talks about, hey, if my gardener sends me an invoice, yeah, I get it basically an Excel spreadsheet, pasted into a Word document, I'm happy, yeah? I'm happy. That's just it, and that's it. It's done. If I'm buying a car, a Tesla, a Lamborghini, or whatever, if I'm buying a car, I want all the information about it. I want all the safety features. I want it to be dynamic. I want images. I want spec details. We're talking big, dashy documents that need to be generated. And I think finding the solution that can handle your use case and even potential use cases is vital when we're coming to implementing a DocGen solution.
Do you often see the need to generate different types of documents? And by types, I mean like file formats. Like, would you potentially see the need to generate a PDF, a Word document, presentation?
So I think the PDF is still king of the document. Everyone can open it. You can lock it down. You can't edit it, etc. That is still there. However, especially when we're talking about maybe there's some redlining needs to happen on a contract, then Word is still the best process to handle that. If you're not going full CLN, then Word, back and forth track changes, etc., is still the best way to facilitate that. We have a number of customers leveraging PowerPoint, especially when it comes to use cases like generating board packs. Generating summary up some of the data from Salesforce, so that they're delivering this to a board, or they're doing a project plan or a project review. PowerPoint still works really, really well for those use cases. Excel, again, is good to know the macros and stuff. Ourselves and other DocGen providers out there as well. You can build clever Excel spreadsheets where the macro is saved on a template. Putting the data from Salesforce, when you open that Excel spreadsheet, the macro runs and you get the output that you want as well. So all of that parts are definitely, it's just down to use case.
Well, so now thinking about this, and maybe from kind of the different approaches or angles here, if somebody's listening to this and they're perhaps looking to get started in the world of DocGen, what tips of advice would you give that person?
So do you mean from sort of working in this industry or looking to select a DocGen, sort of that sort of piece?
So I guess the latter, and maybe somebody who could potentially be an admin of a DocGen solution,
So I think it's about making sure that you've got your use case well defined. What do we want to pull? Where are we putting this data from? I think having a strong data model within your CRM Salesforce, it is vital, because in the end of the day, any DocGen at a really, really basic level is pulling data from Salesforce into a document. I'm a big fan of a phased approach. Let's not try to necessarily have all the documents all going at one time. It's like any project. If you try to do everything in one delivery, you're going to be doing it for 10 years and you're still never going to get it done. It's about simplifying and drawing efficiencies from processes and building on those as well. So I think that's important. It is making sure that we go a phased approach. It works, we move on to the next document, and we expand it throughout the use cases as well. And I think it's about it comes back to my earlier point about that corporate identity, that branding. Can that DocGen solution deliver that to you? It's almost like, do you draw what your perfect document is, and then can the DocGen solution meet that? But I think the final point that I would always ask people to consider is twofold. I think the implementation, how long, how complex is the implementation of it, which is one part.
Yeah.
And I think the second point of that is the maintenance. I think that's how quickly can I make a change in my document? Because we're talking about documents here that are business critical. Yeah. If a sales team can't send their quote out And that's the problem.
Yeah, so it's that pesky legal team, isn't it? Oh, we're just going to change the terms, or the marketing team will change the color of everything. Because it's like always those things that catch you out. Because then suddenly, if it's a hard coded thing or it's a thing that's really complicated to change, you're kind of like, well, actually, what do I prioritize? My like BAU or the fact that that template needs changing? Where my brain was going when I was listening to what you were saying there as well is perhaps regular updates and features and kind of maybe leaning on this from a Salesforce point of view, as I often do. Like that point that you made about the data validation is really important. Personally, what I would do is I would probably build the DocGen functionality in a way where a user can't do it if the data isn't valid. So, for example, don't display the button if some checkboxes or whatever aren't ticked. You guys as a Salesforce like integrator really can leverage all of the tools that Salesforce offers to do that. Do you see that happening quite a lot as well?
I think your point is spot on. It's about having that validation and some controls over it. For us, we've even actually got some tools that can help reformat the data in Salesforce before it goes into the document. So that has really helped. So from normalizing the text. So if someone types something in all capitals, then we've got our function which enables it to put it into normal text. Yeah, so uppercase, lowercase, a mixture of it. And also we work globally, so we have global customers who dates, yeah? This is going to sound crazy, yeah? But date formats. Our US friends, they love month, day, year. But us in Europe, we love obviously day, month, year. Even a decimal place, in the UK we have a decimal. In Europe they have a comma, etc. It's all a bit of a mind that. So we've got some functionality that helps sort of remove that hassle from the process as well. But you're right. I think making sure that there's some validation or conditional formatting that helps. That has to be the way to get to that end result of a clean looking document that the customer looks and goes, fantastic. It comes back a little bit to the question before. Innovation, I think is important when you're selecting any tool, be that any of the thousands of applications available from the app exchanges. Can you get a flavour of how innovative that company are? Are they bringing out new features? Are they changing it? Or are they just saying, this is it. It's our product. It's done. You love it. You hate it. No, we don't care. It's done. Yeah. And there are companies out there that it is what it is. And that's it. And some haven't changed it in 10 years. It's still the same from 10 years ago. And it was great 10 years ago, but technology moves so fast. So that's the one thing that I always look for from an ISV. And it's something that I'm proud of from my side. That is it. The innovation, always new features, and always being willing to develop those new features as well. It's partnerships, isn't it? Even if something even if it's like a small, okay, for me, DocGen's massive, yeah, it's my world. But for a full Salesforce implementation, that DocGen piece is super small part of the whole picture. Making sure that works and that company can actually work as a work with that company. Hey, can we do this change? Can we make this different document config, etc.? I think having that partnership with customers and vendor, I think is important as well. And that's where we see the biggest growth is there's customers who want to work with vendors in order to get to the end result, which helps the customer, also improves the product.
Yeah, totally. And I can certainly relate to that as somebody that works for a company that's an ISV. And then SI, definitely we have a whole product team, and a product team run regular events with our clients to get feedback, inform the roadmap, and prioritize the roadmap as well. So it's great that sounds like you're doing a very similar thing, because those things are super important, because you need to be continuously involving and iterating to keep up with everybody else out there. And also, I guess, just the scale of the world. I mean, look at what AI's had a massive impact on basically everything, right? So yeah, I think that's important too. Okay, so now thinking about this, perhaps your own journey in DocGen, you were to start out again, is there anything that you would think about differently or change or do differently?
I think sometimes this is a Salesforce limitation, or sometimes it's, and I think we're making big improvements, but I think sometimes the back end user interface can always be made easier to work with. I think that's an important part. Now,
Yeah.
which I think if you are a Salesforce admin full time, then most of the back end you're familiar with Salesforce technology, etc. It's all very, very easy to do. But if you are those sort of accidental admins who just like, so I'm the admin of this now, okay, I wasn't aware I was, and suddenly you are, I think that can sometimes be a bit daunting. So I personally think that the back end side of it can always be made easier to understand. So more dragging and dropping, etc. The back end, I think, sometimes gets left behind. I think sometimes with certain products, etc., because it's the front end and it's all the technology that happens in the middle. Having the back end that is easy and slick and easy and sort of functional, I think is the most important thing. And that's why we've made a lot of changes in the back end just to make that process super, super easy for almost anybody to pick up. How easy is that to actually navigate and work yourself through? Or if it's complicated, which is fine, and some have to be, what's the documentation like? And I think that, again, is important. Is the documentation good? Can I use it? Is it all video content, or is it all just PDFs I've got to read? Is there a mixture of both of that? Because people learn differently as well. So I think that's important. Documentation, and we built our own university so people can get accredited, but there's Trailhead, all these other things out there. There's all the vendors have their own way of training. But having that there is an important piece. So you can get on it. And also, lots of admins that I meet and speak to going to lots of the community events, etc., they want to go ahead and they want to do it themselves. They don't want to have to phone a call, wait for an email. They want to just dive in and do it. So the documentation's got to be spot on as well. And that, honestly, if I was you, Salesforce make a change in the UI, guess what? Our documentation will want to change because we've got to record new videos, create new documents, because suddenly what I'm watching, what I'm seeing, they're not the same anymore.
So now thinking about this kind of as maybe a couple high-level bullet points, really, what skills, attributes does somebody need to have to potentially look for the right DocGen tool and think about managing and maintaining that tool longer term? What kind of things would you use to describe that person, do you think?
So I think you've got to be able to translate what the business needs. Okay, so say DocGen, what does the quote look like? Okay? How does that? What do we want it to look? What do we want it to contain? And then actually the skill set of being able to understand how Salesforce works. So I think that's the perfect match. So that's why I think admins can be great, especially if they've got some sort of business exposure and working with a business. I think that's super important, because that can be the fall down sometimes when we're switching from technical to functional. And I think that's always there's always sometimes a gray area. There's a gap between functional and technical as well. Probably most things in this world come down to communication. It's like, hey, sit down, have a conversation. What does the business actually need? What are the variables? Let's actually war game this whole process. So it's being able to understand that and then take that away and then translate it into the build and the implementation. So I don't think it's easy. I think sometimes people are either super technical, or they are very business. And I think having the mixture of both, I think, is like a perfect recipe, the secret sauce, I think, to someone who can really implement and understand DocGen, is being able to sort of cross both worlds, from the business and then the technical sides, for sure.
And I think that leans into some of the kind of work that Salesforce is doing in this area as well, with the admin skills kit, which basically illustrates what types of skills an admin should have or needs to have. And business analysis is part of that skill set. And that's a really important thing, because if that goes wrong, then you're going to build something that isn't right, or you're going to select a tool that isn't right. So that's, for me, the be all and end all. And I like how it comes into the user experience part of it as well, and like the visual part of it, because mostly within Salesforce, yes, you can influence that, but you ultimately get it like how it comes out of the box unless you build everything custom. So I think that's definitely more important for a visual thing like a document is, right?
Yeah, and I think I would strongly suggest that every admin goes and does the business analyst search, because I think that skill
Yeah.
set is perfect. I
Mm.
think that they always should be taught the same. They should be part of it a lot more. And I know Salesforce are pushing that way, but I think any admin out there, go and do it, because I think this just helps you understand the business needs.
Yeah, totally. And I'd perhaps expand that every admin, architect, consultant, and developer.
I started my career as a business analyst, so I've been fortunate
Right,
enough to have that skill set and then go sales and go technical, etc. But I think
Mm.
it's a great foundation that business analysts just be able to understand how a business works and what's needed.
Yeah.
And I think that's vital to any admin. Like you said, you're right. That could be everyone. Architects are maybe the big
Mm.
ones who are most guilty of it because they're so technical. So technical that actually they miss that piece a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So thinking about this now as an opportunity to demyth something about blockchain, like is there a common misconception or assumption that people make when they think of blockchain? They think of about a particular theme.
Yeah, so I think the biggest myth that we see is that it's too complicated to build. Yeah,
Mm.
there's too much data. There's too many data points. We're never going to be able to build this. Our sales process is super complex. We've got this table and that table and all of this. Oh no, do you know what? It's just easier just to do it manually, because then we can just like delete page 6 from Word doc and then send it, etc. You know, I think that's what happens. Yeah, I think sometimes a business looks at it and goes, our sales process is far too complex to make this a click of a button. When it's like, actually, no, that's false. It's like, okay, what's the business logic? What's the process? And then you can map that into a DocGen solution. As long as you pick a good one, you know, there's lots of good ones out there. You know, that is easy to achieve actually. And I think that's what some companies, it's just like, oh no, we've got big images, or we've got these, or you know, our salespeople take images of the DocGen, you know, I see like Service Cloud, they're taking before and after photos and all that sort of stuff. Oh no, we can never get that into a document. That image is too big. That's another thing. So providers have solutions to manage those images, to get them into a format that actually makes it easy to be read into a PDF. You don't create a 500 gigabyte document because you've got all these massive high resolution images in, you know? It is possible. It's about, in 2 years, I'm yet to come across a use case where we've got, where there's been, oh, we can't do that. And I think that's great. You know, I think every possible reason you're generating a document using Salesforce data, it can be done. And I think that's something people get a bit scared of as well. I think sometimes it's people feel like they're losing control. Hey, look, if we do it in like just a Word document, you know, I've got complete control of that. But actually, with some good architecture and good implementation and a good vendor, you can achieve anything.
Well, I'm going to attempt to summarize that in a few words or a short sentence. Less problem, more solution.
Okay. That's perfect.
Get rid of them, make that the solution to that problem. Okay, awesome. So we are bringing today's episode to a close, but before we do go, what's the way for people to connect with you if they perhaps want to explore and find out more?
So obviously reach out, look on LinkedIn. Our website, pdfbutler.com, is a great place to go and have a look at what we do. What you see there is a great insight into what we do as a company and how we can help. Sure. I have the privilege in my job in traveling the world at Salesforce events. there's a Salesforce event anywhere near you, there's a good chance I or my team will be there. I think we're doing 25, 26 events globally this year. We're everywhere. I think I'm on 7 or 8 already for the year. So definitely Salesforce community events, world tours, you'll find us there.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time today, and hopefully we inspire some more people to be more DocGen. So thanks.
Thank you, Sam. Pleasure.